As part of measures to address the suffering of flood victims whose sources of livelihood and houses were destroyed, Governor Mai Malabuni has donated cash support to them. The beneficiaries of the intervention include vulnerable groups and small business owners who received cash assistance from the state government. At the launch of the event in Damaturu, the State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Mero Amshi, said the intervention is part of effort to key into the renewed hope agenda of the President.
Another impactful initiative under the leadership of His Excellency, Governor Mai Malabuni, aimed at addressing the pressing needs of our people and fostering inclusive growth across Yobe State. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, today we celebrate 3 major interventions as already been highlighted, and that has highlighted the compassionate and forward-thinking governance of His Excellency. These interventions include support for 25,000 flood victims and vulnerable groups in response to devastating impact of flood that affected countless families across the state. 2, support to 10,000 nano, micro, and small business owners, which aims to strengthen local economies, foster entrepreneurship, and create sustainable livelihood. Then the 3rd, support of renewed hope initiative activities by the Yobe State government. And under the renewed hope initiative, a lot of programs have been conducted and been achieved. The first program is the Elderly Support Scheme Phase 1. Second program, support for women in agriculture. Third program, every home garden competition for women. Fourth program, second phase of the Elderly Support Scheme, which will be coming, inshallah, by December. Fifth program is interactive session with Yobe State beneficiaries of the agri scheme to guide them. 7, women in technical empowerment, so women who are trained in Gombe on technical empowerment. The next one is distribution of food items to less privileged and people living with disability.
I wish on behalf of the Yobe State Emergency Management Agency to express my heartfelt gratitude to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Yobe State, Honorable Mai Malabuni, CON, for his total commitment and foresight, whose under his leadership and guidance is providing all the resources and support needed to restore our community's livelihood and stimulate grassroots economic development. Once again, I welcome His Excellency and all respected dignitaries, and I wish us a successful flag-off ceremony.
In his remarks, Governor Mai Malabuni described the initiative as a milestone and a way of boosting commerce in the states. Governor Buni explained that the initiative reflects the guiding principle of his administration to protect the vulnerable, empower the citizens, and create pathways for self-reliance and prosperity.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's occasion marks the launch of 2 transformative initiatives. 1, support to 25,500 flood victims and vulnerable groups with an investment of 1.4 billion naira. We are providing financial assistance of 50,000 naira each of the beneficiaries in support to rebuild their lives and gain stability. In recognition of the vital roles of nano and small businesses in driving grassroots economic growth, we are disbursing 1.5 billion to support 15,000 small businesses owners and entrepreneurs to foster financial inclusion and stimulate local economies. Each beneficiary will receive 100,000 to grow their businesses and sustain their livelihoods. This brings us to a total of 2.9 billion naira support to the beneficiaries. These initiatives reflect the guiding principles of our administration to protect the vulnerable, empower our citizens, and create pathways for self-resilience and prosperity. By investing in the flood victims, vulnerable groups, and small business owners, we are addressing immediate recovery needs and laying the foundation for long-term economic resilience.
The governor spoke more on the cash assistance to small business owners, as well as provision of support to empower women and children in the state.
The multipurpose cash assistance program we propose to align with global best practice and address the diverse needs of our citizens. We deliberately adopted direct funds transfer to empower the beneficiaries to prioritize their most urgent needs, promote dignity, accountability, and economic recovery. Let me seize this opportunity to reiterate the commitment of this administration to the Renewed Hope initiative by rendering more support to women, people living with disabilities, the elderly, and other vulnerable persons. Government will continue to provide free education, accessible and affordable healthcare delivery, technological advancement, and economic incentives to empower less privileged persons for economic growth. I wish to assure you that government will provide all the requirements needed for the takeoff of the proposed Early Child Care Development Education Center in the state. Let me also re-emphasize the government's commitment to our policy on transparency and efficiency in implementing these and all other intervention programs to promote accountability in the disbursement of all resources to the people. Ladies and gentlemen, these programs represent the essence of governance, to serve the people diligently to improve their lives. Therefore, on behalf of the good people of Yobe State, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR for every support extended to the state.
The Yobe State government, in collaboration with UNICEF, has launched a 20,000 per day capacity oxygen gas plant at the Yobe State Teaching Hospital in Damaturu. Speaking with journalists after the inspection of the facility, the head of UNICEF delegation appreciated the state government for taking responsibility for maintenance of the project.
We worked shoulder and hand by hand to deliver today this oxygen plan. I would say this for us, we have many lessons learned, not only from COVID, but also what is going on in relation to child mortality, for example, right? So while the country is doing well, we still have a challenge for neonatal deaths. Many of these deaths are because newborns don't have first the places, the equipment that needs for their life saving. One of those is lack of oxygen. These plants play a critical role in the states and the neighboring states. So we are not planning to have 36 plants, one per state, but fewer plants. And some states are already in conversations to help each other. This one has a capacity to deliver 720,000 liters per day of oxygen. It's huge. I must say the investment is huge, so I am really, really happy to know that the government, the state government, is taking full accountability for its maintenance. As with the other plants, we have trained the technical personnel that will work and run the plant, and the other part, which is the management. Hopefully we can have this meeting at the beginning of next year to put it in place.
She also spoke about how UNICEF intends to partner with the state government to carry out interventions for malnourished children in the states.
Maybe, I can have the privilege to see your team and we can plan together. Thank you to all the people of Yobe, especially the Damaturu population, and please remember that your children are your first priority and that we have to take care of them, we have to love them, and we have to bring them to the health facilities so they are immunized, and whenever they have any illness, they are attended, including those children who are malnourished and who are severe acute malnourished, because the treatment is there. We still have our challenge fund for nutrition, and I hope that we can also have the Excellency, the Governor, committed into the challenge fund so we can bring more attention and RUTFs for those children who are really suffering.
Representing the state governor at the event, the State Commissioner for Health, Lawangana, commended UNICEF officials for their immense contributions to construction of the oxygen plants.
The need for oxygen across healthcare facilities is very obvious. We've seen that during the COVID-19 pandemic, even before then, and largely afterwards. I think, if I may say, one of the positive sides, of course everything has its positive sides of the pandemic, is the fact that the emergence of interventions around ensuring that healthcare facilities have oxygen. The construction of these oxygen plants will really go a long way in saving the lives of people, especially children, across our state. When we heard of this intervention, we were actually very excited, and because it was a huge priority. We've made some modest attempts, but then, of course, not to this extent. And, of course, having come to fruition, already, I think, the benefits have already started seeing them. So I wish to, on behalf of His Excellency, really appreciate you and your entire organization for this intervention.
The Commissioner assured UNICEF officials of effective maintenance of the project to serve the people.
I want to assure you, usually when an intervention comes without an alignment to the need, that is when you get worried about the sustainability or the functionality. But when an intervention comes and it aligns with need, it aligns with the vision of a state, you can be rest assured of the fact that it's going to be used the way and manner it's supposed to be used. We assure you of the sustainability, maintenance, and any other activity or intervention that will happen to ensure that this plant lasts for years and years to come.
As a way of advancing health and productive lives of persons living with HIV/AIDS, the Yobe State government joined the global community to commemorate the 2024 World AIDS Day at the Wawa Hall in Government House, Damaturu. Speaking at the event, the convener of the event, Adamu Jubri, noted that it will serve as an avenue to advocate eradication of stigma and discrimination, which remain major challenges in accessing health care.
In terms of the community engagement, we call on community leaders, religious institutions, and civil society organizations to strengthen the advocacy, education, and support system. In terms of the partnership, we value our collaboration with international donors, healthcare providers, and non-governmental organizations. Together, we can amplify our impact. Ending AIDS by 2030, the global target of ending AIDS by 2030 is ambitious, not achievable, but achievable. It requires scaling up preventive interventions, particularly among vulnerable populations, expanding access to antiretroviral therapy to ensure those living with HIV can lead healthy and productive lives, and also enhancing efforts to eliminate stigma and discrimination, which remain significant barriers in accessing care.
The chairman of the Maturu local government area, Adam Buka, stressed the need for adequate sensitization at the grassroots in order to pass the message to rural communities.
We recognize the responsibility that we bear in the fight against HIV/AIDS, considering the fact that we are the tier of government that is close to the people at the grassroots. Therefore, our duty bound to lead the fight against HIV from the being elected representative of the people at the grassroots, who gave us mandate to protect them in all the sector of their lives. Our key priority at the local government level towards HIV/AIDS response should include sustaining HIV response. Local governments are committed to strengthening the healthcare system, ensuring that HIV prevention, testing, treatment, and care services remain accessible and sustainable. This includes integrated HIV services into our primary healthcare facilities and maintaining a steady supply of drugs.
The State Commissioner for Health reaffirmed the commitment of the state government for continued response for people living with the virus.
Community to reflect on our progress, challenges, and collective commitment to ending the HIV/AIDS epidemic. We gather here not just to commemorate a disease, but to affirm our commitment to a cause that has significant implications for our communities, our health systems, and our future. Today we gather not only to remember those who have lost their lives, but to celebrate the resilience and courage of people living with HIV and the tireless efforts of those working to make a difference in their lives. Here in Northeast Nigeria, your presence sends a powerful message that hope and unity can overcome even the most formidable challenges. Northeast Nigeria has faced unique obstacles in addressing the HIV epidemic. Armed conflict, displacement, and societal stigma have created barriers to prevention, treatment, and care. For many in this region, accessing essential services remains a daily struggle, with vulnerable populations, women, children, and displaced persons facing the greatest risks.
In his remarks, Governor May Malabuni, represented by his deputy, Idi Barde Gubana, stressed the need for effective HIV response and sustenance for people living with the virus.
I am delighted to address you today on this significant occasion of World AIDS Day 2024. The theme for this year, Take the Right Path, Sustain HIV Response, and Stop HIV among Children in Nigeria by 2030, inshallah. It's both timely and essential as we reflect on our progress and recommit ourselves to eradicating HIV/AIDS in our communities, particularly among the children. I would like to commend the previous speakers for articulating the key components of this year's theme, which underscore the importance of sustainability, grassroots engagement, and collaborative efforts to address HIV/AIDS. Allow me to reiterate and expand on these points as they pertain to Yobe State's ongoing commitment to combating HIV/AIDS. Yobe State has made significant progress in sustaining the HIV response through strengthened health system, capacity building, and resource mobilization. However, we recognize that there is still much work to be done. Our administration remains committed to ensuring that adequate funding policy frameworks and partnerships are in place to sustain this response.
As part of strategies to tackle idleness and restlessness among youths, the Yobe state government has trained 85 youths in shoemaking. The 85 youths were selected from the 17 local government areas of the state. At the closing ceremony and presentation of startup kits to the beneficiaries, government officials stressed that the kit will enable them to start their own businesses and employ workers. The State's Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment Generation, Ajibula Rafa, emphasized that it will assist the beneficiaries.
The State, Honorable Maimala Bunisioen Churoman Gujuba, ably represented by His Excellency the Deputy Governor, Honorable Idi Berde Gubana Waziri Fune, to this important occasion, that is the closing ceremony of the skill acquisition training on shoemaking organized by the Ministry of Wealth Creation, Empowerment and Employment Generation. I want also to welcome all our distinguished guests. It is indeed worthy to state here that the present administration, under the dynamic leadership of our amiable leader, His Excellency Honorable Malabuni Soen, has always considered it a path of duty and honor, deliberately chosen to dent the poverty structure, address unemployment, and support businesses in our dear state. Hence, this resolve to create this ministry. Some of the mandates of the ministry include: 1, creating new opportunities and developing strategies to support business growth and sustainability.
Governor May Malabuni, who was represented by his deputy, Idi Barde Gubana, said the initiative is a strategy to reduce poverty in the state.
On shoemaking for 85 participants drawn from the 17 government areas of the state, organized by the Ministry of Wealth Creation, Empowerment and Employment Generation. This training workshop is part of a series of empowerment programs being implemented by administration through the ministry in order to equip our citizens with skills in various vocations as a means of creating employment and self-reliance among the people, thereby reducing poverty and idleness among the youth. This initiative is therefore aimed at addressing the urgent need to equip more individuals with vocational skills to enhance business activities in the state. This gathering may agree with me that we have been demonstrating our commitment to overcome the multifarious developmental challenges facing our dear state in the post-insurgency era within the scope of limited resources at our disposal.
Governor Boni appealed to the beneficiaries to put the skills acquired to good use and for the benefit of humanity to justify the financial resources spent on the training.
My solemn belief that every individual with the right skills and equipment can prosper in any vocation, given the right businesses, atmosphere, and economic opportunities, both of which our administration has been striving very hard to provide for the benefit of our people. As such, let me use the opportunity to enjoy the beneficiaries of this training workshop to diligently put the skills learned into use with dedication and commitment to justify the resources that were expended in their training and the start-up kits that will be given to them to commence their businesses. It is also expected that beneficiaries will over time cascade the skills learned at this workshop towards their apprentices so that as many youth as much as possible will also benefit from your skills, since you are all expected to become employers of labor in the short term. Such transfer of knowledge and skills, if diligently undertaken, may spread throughout the state, and the result will be increase in the number of youth that will become self-reliant, which we are all focused on achieving.
And that is all we have for you on today's episode on Impact Yobe. Don't forget to join us next